social media is this like very divisive tool, and it has this potential to just really amplify the negative voice. So this ad totally it made me aware that shitposting was possible. If you're going to do shitposting as an intentional strategy, what types of things should you start considering? So
welcome everyone to today's episode of Inbound-led Outbound. We are going to dive into this world of shitposting and how to shitpost your way to growth and attention and prosperity. So we're going to have a slightly different format. I'll be your host, Santosh Sharan, and no points for guessing our guest today, my favorite CEO, Adam Robinson. All right, Adam,
hello,
you ready for
everybody.
this?
Hello, everybody. I'm ready to do this. Let's jump into it.
All right, so Adam, I went to Oxford Dictionary to look for what shitposting meant. Can you define for the rest of us? If I did better, I would think it's taking a dump before making a post.
in my opinion, a shitpost is kind of like when you are intentionally being inflammatory and speaking kind of like overly negative about someone, something, some company, or whatever, kind of like with the spirit of trying to troll a response through being negative. That's what I think shitposting is.
Provocative posts. So it turns out that the word shitposting was invented in late 2019. So you just may have invented this category. The reason is, so Adam started shitposting late 2019. So let's set the stage. So the year is early 2020. COVID has just happened, right? And you are starting off with this venture. It's probably looking bleak. Nobody's buying. The world's coming to an end. Your business is doing 20K, 30K a month, not making enough, not profitable, certainly. And you want to grow, right? You want to capture attention, and times are changing. So with that backdrop, tell us, how did you even think about like starting to shitpost on like Facebook? And let's dive into one of your videos.
Yeah. So first thing I will show you is we're now looking at, I'm tracking the week by week growth of our B2B versus Get Emails, which is now retention.com. And I did this Facebook ad that was not shit posting like around week 4. And then I ended up turning it off a couple weeks in. And then the shit posting stuff, I sort of, it's around week 12 that I had the epiphany that this was possible. And I ended up running those ads for basically until week 44 from week 12. So probably like 90 days of intense sort of like shitposting oriented ads. And then the business did something strange. It was like stuck between 200 to 250K for like 9 months. And then we started prospecting e-commerce stores, and it got bigger again. But basically from about week 43 to on, we stopped doing this ad campaign. And I'll get into some of the reasons why later, but let me just show you this ad and show you some of the comments that came from it. And by the way, this was just like on a whim. I was like, Helen and I, this is my current wife now, she was my girlfriend at the time. I'm like, if you had a 60-second amusing ad that answered the sales questions and used props, and there was like a different background on every one of them, it would seem like it was like Snapchat or an Instagram story or something. So this ad totally, it made me aware that shitposting was possible. I'm going to play it.
It's Adam and Helen again, week 5 of quarantine.
The first question everybody asks when they figure out what GetEmails does is,
how is it legal?
So we're going to tell you. So in the US, is it CAN spam compliant? The answer is yes. There is a huge misconception that CAN spam in the US is. It's Adam and Helen again,
Sorry,
week 5 of quarantine. The first question everybody asks when they figure out what GetEmails does is,
how is it legal?
So we're going to tell you. So in the US, is it CAN spam compliant? The answer is yes. There is a huge misconception that CAN spam in the US is opt-in. It is not. It is opt-out. So long as there's an opt-out link on your email, it's A-OK.
Okay. What about California?
CCPA only applies to businesses with over 25 million in revenue. If you have under 25 million in revenue, there is no CCPA. If you have over 25 and you make the appropriate privacy policy adjustments, it's A-OK.
Great. What about Canada and Castle?
Castle is opt-in email marketing only. You can't do it in Canada, but Canadian companies can still use GetEmails because we do not have any Canadian citizens in our database. So you can still use it for US customers.
Okay. What about Europe and GDPR?
GDPR is opt-in email marketing only. Can't do it in Europe, but again, we don't have any Europeans in our database, so European companies can still use GetEmails because it is US CAN spam compliant. Click through to learn more. Click
USA,
through to
USA.
America. Okay, so you get the idea there. And it's Adam and Helen again, week 5 of. Sorry, let me just. So what this did is if you read these comments, this might detract a normal human being, but I read these and I was very encouraged by this, right? So what I'm hearing is that this is just another example of a shitty US law and you unabashedly decided to exploit it. Just because it's legal doesn't mean it's right. It's an awful business model. The only people who think email marketing, you get the point. It seems intrusive, like all of these. And by the way, I'm like firing back from the brand account. It's not spamming, it's targeted emails. We're providing huge value to small business. I'm just going right back at these people. So where this ended up is like, I would take each one of these comments and make an individual ad about each of them to just rile these people up, because when they wrote a novel about how much they hated me and the ad and what we were doing, it just made the ad work better, because that's the nature of social media, unfortunately. Yeah. So, should I play the next one?
Sure. On this one, Adam, these comments are not flattering. Well, let me say it, they're just hateful and downright condescending. But but you didn't stop. I mean, there was then the Glassdoor reviews or Yelp reviews, right? But what do you think went through your mind to not stop? You double down. Is this your trader background, your ability to take more risks than others?
I mean, I just, so like, there's 595 comments and like, I just never had any kind of response to anything I'd ever done like that. And I had heard that social media is this like very divisive tool, and it has this potential to just really amplify the negative voice. And like my content was like, and by the way, like I knew like tons of people were clicking through and signing up for this, despite the negative. That's why I kept doing it. It's not like it was negative comments and no business was coming from it, right? Like, it was extremely negative comments from these people. And it was like the best. It was like literally I was getting paid back on these ads in a day, right? So that was like, okay, like, I mean, this is the ad that made it happen. I was like, how do I do more of this? So I just like went through the comments, and there was one about a legal loophole. So like that was the next one I did, right? So like this will give you an idea of like the tone of the ads. It's Adam and Helen again. GetEmails. Here. It's Adam and Helen again. Get Emails identifies 35% of your anonymous traffic and sends you email addresses that you don't have yet in real time. Everyone knows it's legal, but people say it's unethical because
it exploits a legal loophole.
And my argument is that that's what entrepreneurs do. Duh. We're going to give you 3 examples of people who've done the same thing.
First, we have Airbnb.
Airbnb got started by spamming Craigslist. Bet you didn't know that. And they currently operate in New York City by saying that the host has to be in the apartment when the guests are there. Give me a break.
Next, we have good old Apple.
Apple earned $305 billion between 2008 and 2015, and they paid 5.8% taxes on it because of a legal loophole that has since been shut.
Next, we have Uber.
Uber's still operating illegally in many countries. Does that make them bad entrepreneurs, or does that mean entrepreneurs exploit legal loopholes? I think it's the latter. Click through to learn more. I mean, that's just like a straight up inflammatory ad. You know, they kept saying the legal loophole thing over and over again, and like these people's heads would explode when you would be like, that's just what entrepreneurs do, you know? So yeah, that was the next one. And then,
love this freedom that comes from when you're starting small, right? And the ability to cut through the noise, which you're doing here so wonderfully. And this negative comment is really the fuel that helps you cut through that noise.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the when you're small is key. And I think that that's something that people don't really appreciate, right? Like when you started 12 weeks ago, you don't have a brand,
right?
You know, at all, right? There's no brand to destroy. So in the very beginning, I think you can get away with stuff that you know, there's no way we could do it at retention.com now. Like they won't even let me put that first ad on the YouTube page, by the way. Like I had to go find it in the Facebook business account because they made me delete it, full stop. They wouldn't even let me have it hidden on the YouTube page. So yeah, there's a bunch of stuff that you can do early on that you just can't do later. In my opinion about the whole thing is the people will eventually come around. You know, if your product is good enough, even if you're making total enemy, it's like these people who are writing this are never going to use a product anyway. That's the reality of it, you know? And people who might, even if they hate what you're doing, time heals all. Like they'll come around eventually if the product's good enough. That's just my opinion.
Totally. Yeah, let's look at the next couple of videos. And what I also find is the quality of comments started to shift across these videos, right? People are coming around and
so I don't mean to cut you off. We were really having fun with it by the time we did this one. And like, this is just an example of like how far you can push it, right? Like it's crazy to me that this is like an ad that I ran for my company, right? So I'll just play it and you can see.
So tell me, bad boy, what does Get Emails do?
You put our script on your website and we identify 35% of your anonymous traffic and we give you email addresses you don't have on your list yet in real time.
Oh, that's so violating of people's privacy.
It's 100% CAN-SPAM compliant and CCPA compliant. It's totally legal in the USA.
But people aren't filling out forms.
They want these emails. The engagement's through the roof. Open rates are higher than people's house lists.
Oh, that's so bad. Tell me more.
We send records directly to your email marketing account so you can get people back to your website. It's under 20% of the cost of getting an email any other way. Click through to learn more. Click through to learn more. I mean, I hadn't watched that one in a while. It's just so outrageous, you know? Like I was really getting a hang for like the type of thing that I could say that would piss this really small percentage of people off, that would like make the ads work really well. And then meanwhile, we were like building this community of fans that actually thought all this stuff was hilarious, you know?
So incredible. So there's there's one more, right?
Yeah, the last one is like, I just thought this one was really funny. I'll play it. And then it's Adam and Helen again from Get Emails. As the Paycheck Protection Program winds down, we at Get Emails are replacing one great American program with another. We are announcing, instead of the PPP,
Da, da, da. Whatever Michelle Obama would say, da.
The GGG, the Great Get Emails Giveaway. We are giving away to every small business in America with a website 500 free emails per month forever for the rest of your life with no credit card required. But they're not just any emails, they're emails of people who were on your website but did not fill out a form.
That's over $2 billion in stimulus in the next 10 years.
So sign up for the Great Get Emails Giveaway today and get 500 emails per month for the rest of your life. No credit card required. Click there to learn more. So yeah, I mean, that was that. I don't even know if I have anything else to say about that one, but that was like it all started falling apart after that. You know, the problem with Facebook, which I'm sure a lot of you know, is you know, the type of customer it brings in for a SaaS is generally like a 15 to 20% per month churn customer. We were pulling in whales from it that would like pay the last 2 weeks ads back. It stopped happening. We started having to focus on higher LTV customers. And you know, we shifted from the ads altogether. And that freemium thing that I tried didn't work at all for like a bunch of different reasons. It's not like right now where it's actually working for us. But yeah, I mean, this is just an example of how outrageous you can be and like how social media just loves this stuff, right? Like, and by the way, I had no idea I had this talent. Like, this is just like a completely new thing that I discovered. I could write these scripts in like 10 or 15 minutes and then just sort of get Helen up to speed. And these are all like 1 or 2 takes. Like, we just do them.
Yeah, I think what it proves is you can, when you're small as a brand, you can really push this, right? And brand in diapers cannot be destroyed, right? There's so much room for experimentation for smaller companies. And that's something, that's an opportunity that smaller companies should not waste and let go. So these ads took you from 30K MRR to 200, 250K MRR, right?
Yep.
And you said one of the reasons you stopped doing this was churn. But let's say churn wasn't an issue. Would you keep doing, or would you still stop? You knew at some point you had to like stop this and switch into other like sales-led motion.
So like, there were 2 problems. One was the churn problem.
Mm-hmm.
The second one, there were 3 problems actually. One was a churn problem. 2 is the nature of how these ads were performing is we had a PLG motion that had up to a $5,000 a month price point. And we would literally get once every couple weeks, someone who came in and clicked through to a $5,000 payment, even though the bottom plan was 19 bucks. And it just paid back the prior 2 weeks of ads. So kind of like somewhere around the time I ran this Trump ad and we like tried to do freemium because I'm obsessed with freemium and, you know, it didn't work. But like, basically it had been 8 weeks since we got a whale. I was growing the ad spend more and more every week. I think I probably saturated the available audiences to me in Facebook. And it was bringing in these like high churn customers, right? So like, it was all of that. And then there was this other adverse mental health consequence where, let's talk about that at the end.
Yeah, let's talk about that too then. So this is great. So now let's fast forward. So 4 years have passed, right? And all the naysayers and the comments on Facebook saying this business will never take off. The business has gone from like 20K, 30K MRR to 23 million.
We're at, you know, 21,886,894 ARR.
Right.
So they were wrong.
Right.
They were wrong.
Yeah, and this is a true ARR, maybe a lot more. This is cash collected, not even projected, right?
Yeah.
So now you're in 2024, around April, March timeframe, and you're writing some content on LinkedIn, and some of these memories come back to you, right? So something very interesting is about to be unleashed when you wrote about 6sense. So walk us through your initial post and
Yeah,
what.
so here's where all this came from. Like, we bought 6sense to basically see how good the company level ID was versus our person level ID. And, I just can't even explain how hard 2023 and the first part of 2024 was for retention.com, and like how much pricing pressure we felt, new competitors, and trying to, renew people. Like, the idea of even upgrading someone for 1 second is like insane. I couldn't even think about it, right? And I perceive that as the landscape for many companies in SaaS. Like, the days of just infinitely, jacking price on people and the vendor having the leverage, they seem to have shifted. So anyway, I just had so much pain related to this issue. And then I hear from our RevOps team that 6sense, after 6 months of this contract, which, by the way, we're not even using, because our guys, after they got our B2B, they were like, the 6sense is just terrible compared to it. 6sense is, somebody in CS or something writes our team, and they're like, by the way, the price of the tech is going up by 3x next year. And I'm just like it's like a spit my water out moment. I'm like, what? And then they come back the next day and they're like, oh, but if we renew now, we'll do it flat. And I'm just like, you know what? Fuck these guys. So, I like wrote this post, and, Alec, my LinkedIn consultant, who I talk about a lot, he like saw it, and like, he's just like, LOL, like, nobody writes like this, right? And by the way, somebody asked about the biggest competitor in the space. Like, this is the biggest competitor in our space. I wrote this when we have been around for, I don't know, 7 weeks, right? Like, maybe 6 weeks. And just to give you an idea of like, and by the way, like, this to me is a classic shit post. It's like talking shit about them, but it's also kind of hilarious. Like who who writes point number one? Like, 6sense, no, like basically, I accuse them of not wanting me to use their tool for these reasons, right? They know their data is terrible. This is like an outrageous, like, even reading it now, like, I laugh, right? They're worried about what we'll find when we compare them in Clearbit to us. They're worried about the viral expansion of my tool. It's 7 weeks old, by the way, right? They know their third-party intent signal isn't a buying signal. They know their pricing's just wrong, and they're scared of the future. They wanted me to post about it, right? So that did really well, even by my standards, almost 200,000 impressions. And so anyway, then I think I posted this on like a Thursday, maybe a Saturday, I don't know. And then on Monday evening, I remember getting this email from their lawyers, which was a cease and desist. I remember calling Santosh, but I'm like, oh my God, they cease and desist us. And you were kind of worried, and I was like, no, like, if we talk to Bobby and he lets us post this, it's the greatest PR opportunity of all time, right?
Yeah.
Like, there is nothing better than getting this type of validation from an industry leader, because this is just their playbook. It's like someone talks shit about them, they tell them to stop in a cease and desist, right? So, and the cease and desist was outrageous too. It was just like, take the post down, like, apologize for it, and then tag everyone in the apology. So, I talked to Bobby the next day, our lawyer, and he's like, okay, so long as you're okay getting sued, I kind of see where you're coming from. Like, I still think you're crazy, but like, I understand your craziness. And he's like, I think that the maximum liability for this could be, it should only be like, it's bullshit. Like, yeah, you had a terms of service violation by disclosing like the pricing or whatever, but like, it's the rest of it's bullshit. So they can sue you. It's America, but like, they're not going to win, right? So a few $100,000 max. And I'm like, amazing. I'm willing to take that risk. So next post, this is like a legendary. I mean, this is like one of the greatest posts in LinkedIn history. I think for me at least, right? Like yesterday, 6sense threatened to sue me over a viral link post. Here's a copy of the cease and desist and what they're demanding I do. Their demands. Delete the LinkedIn post within 8 hours. This was 16 hours ago. Issue a public apology. Tag the 463 commenters, and I added who all hate 6sense in my apology. So I rewrote the shit post, and then I tried to rally the little guy, right? And then I actually posted the cease and desist. And like, can't even explain to you, it was like the fastest ascent of anything I've ever seen in a LinkedIn post. And of these 910 comments, the really interesting thing is there wasn't a single person getting 6sense's back. So like, it was this really unique situation where kind of like, all of the controlled information sources about 6sense are positive, but like so many people have gotten roasted by using the product that like there's this tremendous negative sentiment on the internet, on LinkedIn about them. So yeah, it just like really worked. And I think that this post was like a transformational moment in my career because it went from me being a LinkedIn guy that people sort of knew but didn't really know what I was up to I believe that after this cease and desist post, pretty much every 6sense customer knew exactly what we did, and it just has led to this, like this is a public dashboard, but like, we're growing at like almost 100% a month. It's like not, super high numbers yet or whatever, but like every day we're getting between 100 and 150 people to sign up for these things, 8 to 10 people click through to buy it a day. Like that push really started when the 6sense thing happened. And just to show you our scorecard, we look at all of this stuff for EOS. It's probably too many different things, but like this was the sign up. I probably had a huge LinkedIn post this week, but like this was the 6sense week. So, if you did the 4-week running average and then saw this and this, and then it was like back, like it had a major tangible business impact. And then it sort of started this kind of exponential growth thing that we've been seeing since then.
That's amazing. So you did it again, first with retention.com and then with RB2B starting off. What are the lessons for others that may not have? This was like a opportunity from heavens, right? In a way to kind of
I mean, yeah, it's like, I think, Helen and I kind of created the magic the first time. Like 6sense is fully responsible for creating the magic the second time. Like they did that, like somebody in their office made that mistake. And I think it's just, it's like, they probably didn't expect any, they probably expected me to just take the thing down, but it's like, it's just a new type of enemy they're fighting, right? Like, so anyway,
right.
lessons learned, by the way, like I did 2 more. This one was like right after, and it was kind of funny. It was like, we saw that a 6sense employee signed up for RB2B, so made a post about it. And how this original post was, I said, by the way, we got a transcript of the executive meetings, of the emergency executive meetings related to this. And Chris Walker talked me out of leaving it in the post and posting it the next day, but I'll drop it in the comments. I think this is fucking hilarious. And like, I'm never listening to anybody again because I wish I would have done it. I think it would have, because like the problem is like, no one really gives a shit about this. So like, you can't really beat a dead horse unless it's a totally new angle. And I had the opportunity to like insert humor in and kind of milk a different angle of it for a while. And what's too far? I don't know where this other post went. It's right here. So I crossed the line with this one. So like the other posts were getting 250,000, whatever, like a bunch of impressions. Um, then I went too far with this. There were several mistakes with this post. And by the way, we can like send all of these in a doc after so you can see, but like, by the way, I believe this. I think that there's a very good chance that Sixth Sense is going to have to fire like 80% of their employees because their burn is so out of control relative to their revenue. And like, you look at like Salesforce's earnings, it's just, I think that the product
Yeah.
and maybe even the product category is like a leftover ZERP era, kind of, it all got way too inflated. But like I wrote about it, and then one of my friends who is a writer convinced me to tone it down a little bit, but like by toning it down, it lost the humor that was in it. And it was this like, like I know, their data is terrible, right? Like the comment like that, it was written with that tone, had a bunch of jokes, but the close was just vicious. I mean, it was like, uh, you know, uh, I'm glad I don't own 6 Sense equity. I'm glad I don't work there, and I'm glad I'm not in charge of getting them out of this mess. God help their souls. It's something that I was worried about, like somebody influential in the ecosystem reading and being like, well, he's just a bad guy, So the whole thing was weak. And then like, I did this other weird thing where I was like, I attached my own P&L, like thinking that either you would care about the 6 Sense thing or which was just stupid and it was confusing and, and this one only got 63,000. So like, that was just like, okay, I got to stop, you know? Um,
Right.
so yeah, lesson number one was know when to stop, basically,
Yeah. Yeah. Now this is great. We are so let's talk about the state of mental health throughout this process, right? The 4 years ago and now, like, and how do you evaluate your strategy in future given the impact on mental health?
So like the first series, it lasted for a really long time. The first time, I mean, like 3 or 4 months. And, I was really being, like, I don't know how else to describe it. I was like personally insulting people in these comments who were calling me a scumbag from the brand account. And like, I was getting this sick pleasure from it, because I was just destroying, I was making them so angry. And it was so funny to me that like they would write back these novels about how much they hated me. And then they leave bad reviews on our Facebook business page or whatever. And then I changed the Facebook business page banner to like, whoever's leaving a negative review has never used the product. And they're like, like this was the type of headspace I was in for basically that entire time. Cause I was running a new ad every week and I'd run it through for a week. And I just remember my friend Jess saying, your energy is not good right now. Like, this is like a really, like, I just want to encourage you to like step back from this world that you have entered into.
Right.
And, I don't think I think it's, not a good space for you to continue to exist in. So, and, Helen also said the same thing. She's like, kind of like, you're at your worst when you're like in the middle of that world,
Yeah.
just trying to like really wind people up in a very negative way. And I agree with that. I didn't have a kid at the time, but it's not good for my relationships with people when I'm living in this world that's just trying to like hurt people, basically.
Right. Right.
And then I felt it again during this whole 6 Sense thing. Um, it was a compressed period. The whole thing would happen in like a week, but like it was a similar vibe, and Helen definitely spoke loudly in opposition of it and is glad it stopped so quickly. And she's just like, like I was thinking about like dressing up as their CMO and going on a podcast, like, and he's just like, you're better than that, you know.
Yeah.
And that was the comment from this last post that I showed you. It was like, some people were like, you're coming across as thirsty.
Yeah.
Your game's better than that right now, which like,
Yeah.
I agree.
Great. All right. So use shitpost your way, but at your own risk. So let's go through some comments.
Yeah.
So was
Some
there any
quest
legal follow-up from Six Sense? Looks like there are multiple comments around that. They
say,
want to.
oh, whatever happened after that? Is that the question? Um, Nothing. I mean, I think that after the damage that it's not even like we have a free product and they charge people $100,000 a year or something. It's not even like it's materially adversely affecting what they have going on in a real way right now. But like, man, what a headache, right? Like, I think that they saw the type of attention that it got and like just some brand damage to them that, it's like if you know that there's this uh, audience out on LinkedIn who doesn't like you, it's just probably annoying to see it getting agitated, you know? So I think that really, I think I haven't heard anything. My prediction or my assessment of why is because anything that they do, I will just make into content, which will help me a lot. And I think they realize that they kind of, even if like I'm fine with a lawsuit or I wouldn't have done that, so like even a lawsuit, I'm not really hurt by that. So like they can't really hurt me, and what they do doesn't really help them that much, anything. So they have to, they have to just kind of like do what they've done, right? Like just stop talking about it and know that the way content works, like unless you're hitting this from a totally new angle, the world's going to get sick of hearing about it. So,
Yeah,
um,
yeah. If I can add something quickly to what you said, Adam, we live in an attention economy. When you're launching a new product that has so many substitutes, it's really important to cut through the noise and grab attention. And product itself cannot do it, right? And if not shit posting, any other strategies like this really, really helps. So one of the question here is, Adam, were you afraid or are you afraid that others may do something similar to you or uh, uh, yeah.
I mean, I wish people would do this to me. So this one guy has Clark Barron, like he literally
Right.
just out of the blue launched like a grenade straight
You
at
want to,
me.
you want to elaborate on that and
Yeah,
how you
so
turned
so
around?
in fact, I can find the post. I mean, this is the guy. Actually, it may take a while to find the post, but this is the guy,
Yeah,
Clark
let's
Barron.
just talk
And
through.
yeah, and like I remember showing, and he's like he's like a CISO, he's a cybersecurity guy. Like he this is the category of person that is repulsed by the fact that we do what we do. I mean, just religiously, vehemently, like they have a visceral reaction when they hear about it.
Mhm.
And I remember I was like in Mexico City at a wedding, and at like the days before a wedding, we were there, kind of took a couple days to go on vacation or whatever. And like I wake up to this like, I mean, he just blasted me like in very personal ways, right? Not kind of the same, in the same spirit of what I was doing to Six Sense and in these Facebook ads. It's like, he tried to basically hijack my celebrity on LinkedIn and just do a complete takedown. And then, of course, he's got an audience. They all think like he does. There's like this kind of one-sided reaction to it. And then, I wanted to see how far it would run. So I just let it sit for like 24, 48 hours or something. And then after I saw that it didn't just explode and like run endlessly, I kind of went into every single comment and wrote them back what I perceived. He found it deeply offensive, but like I perceived as a very balanced sort of like data privacy is a complex topic. There are people who don't agree with your point of view. Just because something is the law in Europe doesn't mean that you have to obey it in the US, or at least I don't think you do. And a lot of these issues are kind of religious in nature, where like it's like you can't have a debate about abortion on LinkedIn or it's like there's zero chance of the meeting of the minds, right? So like, and furthermore, I know that's the case because when I just say that someone might think differently than any of these people, they start personally insulting me, right? It's just like one of these hot button political issues. So, yeah, like, I had a few conversations with some agencies who were like concerned about it or whatever, but uh, we had a surge in signups. That's actually, that is actually what this was. That was this surge in signups was from him, right? So like, I wish people would would do this more often, right? Like, and this is kind of like, people ask me about inbound led outbound. And it's like, oh, does it bother you that like people are saying that it's not a category or whatever? I'm like, no, like I want, like the best thing that can happen is people who think I'm an idiot are super opposed to it and just make this aggressive negative case, then have people who come in and defend it. And it's like other people discussing this issue, which is like a topic that we introduced into the world, which ultimately brings attention back to us, right? Like that's like the game that I think that if you're not playing these days, you should be,
Love it. So the moral of the story is whether you shit post, other shit post around you, attention is attention, and it results in signups and revenue, positive or negative attention, as long as you can turn that around.
I mean, I think in the beginning, yes. And then I think at some point you kind of need to grow up, but well, maybe, the Elon example is a great example. Like he hasn't grown up and people hate him for it. Some do.
Right.
Some think, Donald Trump, great example. It's like,
Yeah.
he's just being human. I mean, I don't agree with what he's saying, but like how he says it,
Yeah.
it's like that when the whole world, it's like, this is why it's like you look at Sixth Sense website, like it just reeks of inauthenticity. So, I mean, look at this. It's laughable, right? Like that's like, it's the most buzzwordy, politically correct, like pretty, like it's just appalling from like a human authenticity standpoint. So like someone comes in and speaks real words that's in opposition to that,
Right.
it resonates,
Yeah.
and I think that's what Elon has learned and what, Donald Trump has learned. And like the future is more authentic voices, I think, and like less of this nonsense that this like Sixth Sense thing is.
100%. So I know the answer to this, but would love to have you comment. Would you shitpost on a company or execs, and why?
Hold on, say that again.
Uh, so somebody's asking for best practices on shitposting. Would you do the same on executives of the company or individuals, not just the company?
Yeah, so like I had a lot of deep discussion about this with respect to Sixth Sense, and I sort of agreed in that situation that like Sixth Sense itself is this faceless
Right.
beast, this faceless machine that a lot of people hate, right? But then you start going into the individual characters within it, and they're actually loved.
Yeah, of
You know?
course.
So, and then when you start really tearing apart individual characters,
Yeah, that's not
I
good.
think I think you run the risk of people saying, thinking like, well, what an asshole, like that, that guy's got like kids and like a life or whatever. Like, by the way, like Clark, bring it on. Like anybody else wants to shitpost me, like please do. I think it helps us, right? But like I just don't think other people feel the way that I feel about it, and they don't view themselves as in this attention war, which I just view us that way. So the answer is I would be much more careful about if you do it to a person. And if you do, so like it's a risk reward thing, right? There was some risk to this Sixth Sense thing, but like I think the risk to it backfiring would have gone up a lot more if we singled out a character and went after them. You know what I mean? So yeah.
Yeah, I would agree. It's probably best not to include individuals into this. Any question I missed? Oh, this. So if you're going to shitpost as an intentional strategy, what type of things should a startup consider?
I mean, I think it's most effective. This next one's great, by the way. Helen's gonna love that. I gotta send her. Sorry, I'm just gonna send Helen a picture of this because the joke the whole time. So like the whole time we were doing these get emails campaigns, um, everybody loved Helen, and they
Yeah.
sort of played like they hated me, and they were just like, "Get off the screen. We only want Helen." And so we added this part to the drama where Helen had left me. And she was like driving to Aspen to like, this was an ad. She was driving to Aspen to go find another guy. And then I had hired this girl, Alice, who is a very attractive woman. Like we hired her to like do video ads to like go after this segment that we were going after. And I did an ad with her. And I think I like called her the ad was like I just was like it's Adam and Helen again, and people were like, "Where's Helen?" Like blah 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 blah. And then the most searched term for Get Emails was Helen from Get Emails, and she was like getting like all this inbound to do
Right.
acting in other people's ads, and it was just hilarious.
Amazing.
So I sent her that picture. She's gonna love that one. Uh, she's gonna be like, "Yep, I know." And the funny thing is she was so bad in the first ads, like we had to like kind of, I was like, Helen, like get in front of a mirror and like say this script and look at how your face is. And it was all like frozen up. But then to her credit, it didn't take her long to really embrace um
Nice.
those ads. Uh so if you're going to do shit posting as an intentional strategy, what types of things should start consider? So uh, I think my personal opinion is that while I am saying you can't damage a brand that doesn't exist yet, I think that shitposting really, I think it can become frustrating to people if that's all you're doing and that's your core strategy. Like I just don't think the world wants that. Like I don't think the world wants negative marketing for the
Mhm.
most part. I think
Right.
the Sixth Sense thing worked so well because it struck a chord with this audience that was so frustrated.
But also, it was contextual. It really
Yeah,
happened.
exactly. And that
You
was the
could
other
make
thing I
it
was
up.
going to say. Yeah, that was the other thing I was going to say. Like in both cases, these situations kind of presented themselves to me, like I wasn't really seeking to do them, but
Right.
like I made that ad and I knew it was good. The first couple comments on that first ad that I ran for you guys, they were like from ad people, and they're like, "This ad is incredible." And they were like people who there were ad agencies, and I was like, "Oh man, like I got something here." And then I started getting hammered with these people calling me the scumbag, and I was like, and then at the same time, everyone was signing up for the thing. I was like, "Oh my God, like this is gonna be so much fun!" Like I now know what I'm gonna do for the next like whatever.
Yeah.
So, so yeah, I would just keep in mind, like always, always understand what is at stake. Like really, like I wouldn't do it unless there were like a lot of upside, right? If those ingredients were not present in
Yeah.
the the Facebook ad campaign, I wouldn't run it.
Right. Right.
Um,
Yeah,
so yeah,
if I can add something to that best practice, I really like the idea of shitposting against your larger competitor or largest competitor if you can, because in people's mind, when they start calling you and the largest competitor in the same sentence, that's where you start to declutter, cut through the noise, right? And
the
that's
game the
where
game
the
has
success
been won.
is so good for
Yeah.
us.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Dave Gerhardt said, always punch up, you
right.
know? And but you have to, I mean, like I think if we would have done this to Zoom Info, they actually would have sued us, you know. I was taking that risk anyway, but like
Right.
I think you need to also understand I think you have to be able to endure the worst case scenario. I mean, it's not going to be an effective strategy if you shitpost a huge competitor and
Right.
they cease and desist you, then they cease and desist you, then they cease and desist you, and then they sue you. Like,
Right.
they put you out of business, right? If you can't afford,
Well,
you got to just
yeah.
keep that in mind,
And also there are different varying degrees of how much you can probe. Maybe just fall short of receiving a cease and desist, or I mean, there are ways to just keep trying to be compared with your biggest competitor if you can. Great. We are okay. We have a few more minutes. Let's see. Do we have any more questions? So
I don't,
outside of
we didn't really get any from,
LinkedIn.
yeah, I'm looking at it. Yeah, it was just all comments. So yeah, I mean, if no one has any other questions, then we can,
So I have a question,
okay.
Adam. So if I give you two options to interview Aaron Ross of predictable revenue or Dalai Lama of predictive peace, who would you choose and why?
Well, right now I would choose Aaron Ross because he will help my business grow
And we can
in a way
go
that
more easily.
unfortunately the Dalai Lama never will. Maybe after we sell this, well,
Yeah,
after we
and
sell
we'll
this, there's
see.
no question. Aaron Ross is dead to me.
Join me. Consider it done.
Yeah.
So, do you want to share with the team July 16th? Mark the date
Yes.
in your calendar.
Yes. July 16th. Aaron Ross, who, if you do not know who that is, he wrote a book called Predictable Revenue. And if you do not know what that book is, it is the seminal book on software prospecting. Every single company has, in the last 12 years, employed some version of the predictable revenue model to grow pipeline. It got really out of control during 2020, 2022, 2022. I wrote a bunch of content last year about how I thought the predictable revenue model's dead. And they were some of my biggest posts. And strangely, and by the way, like, I worship this guy. Like Diana Ross, who was the co-founder of retention.com, who is the co-founder of retention.com, she's the one book that is on her desk that has been on her desk for 10 years is Predictable Revenue. Get Emails we would not have made a sale was it not for that book, right? Because it was the Facebook ad thing, and then it was like Aaron Ross's playbook run out of the Philippines for us. So one of the big posts last year, like probably the first one, he commented on, and I was starstruck. I was like, oh, and he actually was supportive of it. He was like, yeah, this is what's happening now. Because basically, I was making the argument that we're kind of back in this inbound paradigm, like it's just the reply rates are going down. People are buying less software. Like you just gotta, the BDRs are not creating original demand anymore. It's being created in other places, like on this webinar, like podcasts, like, live events, like all that stuff. You're hearing about it from your friend, all that. So he commented positively on it, but then I think, we probably agitated it a little too much. He reached out to Santosh and he's like, my business partner and I want to debate you guys in a public forum about whether or not the predictable revenue model is dead. So we're doing it on July 16th. Aaron Ross will be on Inbound, Led Outbound workshop, and he will have to defend. So like I read the book last week. I'm just going to be like, Aaron, like, these are the 16 steps in your playbook. If I did those right now, I would not book one demo. Well, right? Like, what do you have to say to that? And I think he's probably going to make the argument that things have changed, but it's still alive and well. And it's just going to be a great discussion.
Yeah, it's going to be epic. Please do add it to your calendar. July 16th, once again. Yeah, I think this whole bell curve is dead. It's replaced by burst curve, right? And predictable revenue is well, not so predictive anymore. So
Yeah,
great.
that I think, you know, part of the argument that I made in the post was like, when you go to a more outbound model, it's so much more, or sorry, inbound model from this predictable revenue thing. It's so much more capital efficient, but you're trading the predictability of that other outbound motion. But my question is how predictable was it anyway? I mean, me and everybody else I know got smoked in 2023,
Yeah.
right? So like, not only that, in 2021, everybody did way better than they expected. So it's like, if you got 2021 wrong, 2022 was fine because it was just an extension of 2021, and then you got 2023 wrong. I don't know. People are probably wrong this year too, probably overestimate a little too much what their growth rate was going to be. That would be my guess. How predictable is predictable revenue anyway? You know? And nobody knows how it's going to end. Nobody knows where this outbound thing is actually going. So it's quite an unpredictable, predictable revenue paradigm, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. Great. All right. Thank you, everyone. Before you wind down this call, can we ask for some feedback? What can we do different? What went well in this session? Drop some comments if you can. If not, send us an email. We value that and use it to make these sessions better.
Yeah, we're trying to make a valuable and entertaining event. So any feedback really helps. Santosh is santosh@retention.com. I'm at adam@retention.com. So yeah, this is a fun one today. Thank you for hosting, Santosh.
Thank you. And then next week, Adam is going to be hosting.
Where can we get the link to the 6th Sense meeting? Okay, so this script, yeah, John will repost it, but this script, oh yeah, John did too. So this was a fake script that I wrote that I was so happy about. And Chris Walker talked me out of posting. I'm so bummed. It, like, I thought this was so funny. You guys can read it in your spare time. Maybe I'll send it out in the newsletter, you know?
Yeah, let me say this. I don't know the best way to articulate. You know, business can be tough, boring. It's a competitive sport, probably the most competitive sport out there, right? It can be gruesome, it can be brutal, but it's important to have fun along the way, right? And when you do initiatives like this that you truly enjoy, it's just so incredible when you can become successful by doing this.
Top 3 people to follow on LinkedIn for inbound in 2024. That's a really good question. I mean, I don't even know. I mean, me and Santosh, obviously, right? Me and Santosh. I don't know. I like reading Chris Walker's stuff because he's dealing with a part of marketing that I know nothing about because I've never gotten a company to that point yet. It's like all this talk about sales and marketing alignment and like attribution and like all these like, you know, how you get myopic and measuring stuff. So you lose the picture of the whole and you got a bunch of different people trying to optimize for different goals. I love that. Cool. Thank you, everybody.
You know, this post, I have to be honest, Adam, I kind of felt like you on LinkedIn. I'm like, oh my God, this is what Adam must feel like with all this engagement that he gets. So I posted this last week. First, let's talk about the post itself. 841 comments, about 500 likes or so. I'm like, oh, Adam Robinson.
Whoa.
You might as well call me Eric Robinson.